Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. I am starting to repeat myself now because I got myself another Mobylette Cady. I fixed one of these up 2 years ago, I think. A green one. Now it's... what color is this? Red wine. I bought this the other day. It was rather cheap, therefore I couldn't resist. The guy I bought it from was a very nice guy, also a petrol head. He told me that his wife used this to go to college 40 years ago. So I don't think it had a lot of owners. So it has been standing for a lot of years. The guy told me that he cleaned out the carb and cleaned the outside of the engine, but I don't think he did much more than that. So I have no idea what's in store for me. All I know is that I know this kind of moped. I know that the ignition system is a bit weird and it can turn. It feels a bit rough, but it's turning. I think I should stop turning it and give it some oil before doing anything else than that. But let's see if we can make this run. But firstly, let's take a closer look at this moped. I think it looks awesome, really. The Mobylette, and especially the Cady, it's not a very popular moped for some reason in my country. They tend to be rather cheap. I don't know the reason for that. I believe that maybe a lot of people think they are very unreliable. I don't think that's the case, but they are quite different in the design, so some may struggle a little bit getting them to run right. For instance, there is the ignition coil out here, and I think on some of them it's even got 2 ignition coils, and it's a bit weird and it's very French and I cannot explain everything. But I like it, and I especially like this because I think the color is awesome, especially with a blue trabant in the rear. It seems to be very original. I really like this rear light. It is missing the chain because well, French, so it got a chain on that side and on this side, and then it got a drive belt there. So you need 2 chains and a drive belt for one moped. That is a bit French. But it's missing the chain that drives the wheel. That's no problem. I already bought one that I think will fit, so we can just fit that later on. I really like the brake setup with a wire pulling this metal coat hanger like thing that pulls the brake. It's pretty cool. The rear got a brake drum, which is really nice. I really like that. The seat is pretty worn, not worth a whole lot. I got a seat for a Velo Solex right up there on the shelf. I really hope that could fit this bike. I don't know if it will, but first thing first, let's remove the side covers on both sides so we can get a bit better access. And we need is that a number 10, I think, and a screwdriver. Oh, someone has been messing around in my workshop. Everything is not where it's supposed to be. I think it's the guy with the trabant who has been messing about. He never cleans up. There we go, number 10. Okay, I really need to clean up soon because I cannot find anything. Oh, there it is. Good. Then let's remove this. Oh, wait a second, I bought something cool. This with a clicky ratchet function, and number 11 and 8 on one side, and then you turn it around and you got number 9 and number 10. I like that. Oh, ratchet action, that's nice. There we go. Now I should be able to take this off like that. This gives us access to the carb, and yes, it looks very clean. He told me he cleaned it, and it looks that way. That's nice. I don't think he tried to start it. I'm not sure about that. It seems a bit weird to take stuff apart and clean it and not trying to start it, but maybe he just lost interest. I didn't ask him. There shouldn't be any fuel in it, and the fuel valve seems to be stuck, which is not ideal. Oh, that is what you call stale, old fuel. Wow, it's smelly. Well, we need to make sure we can drain all that out before pouring that into the carb for sure. First thing I would like to do is to try to get this one to actually open. I think you need to pull it up to open and down to close, but it seems, oh, now it's open. I can open it. Now it's open, now it's closed, now it's opened. I think maybe the fuel tank is actually empty. It's just smelling. What we could do to try and clean it out is to pour some brake cleaner down there, just to see if it actually runs out. It doesn't really seem to want to run out of there, but that it made the valve operate much easier. So it's most likely dissolving some completely gummed up fuel right now. I'm gonna pour some fuel in it as well, and hopefully it will start to drain out. Let's fetch a light. I hope that the fuel tank itself is not too rusty inside. I can say that it's not looking too good actually. It looks rather rusty in there. This is one of those fuel tanks that is not that easy to clean out because it's part of the frame, which also means that if it's really rusty, it could actually crack the frame, but it looks like surface rust actually, so I think it would be okay. But it would be nice to get some of that rust out at least. I'm gonna pour some fuel in and see if it starts draining out. I poured in some fuel and I cannot get it to run out. So I'm gonna take off the fuel valve now, and then it will hopefully start to drain from there. What size is it? 11, 12? I think it's 11. Nope. Then let's get this out. I'm afraid I will have to fill the fuel tank with some citric acid or something to get that rust out. Now it starts to run out. Oh, that looks so disgusting. Ugh. And it is smelling like crazy. Ugh. So I'm gonna let that drain for a while. I got it all drained out and I spilled some, and I actually had to take the bike outside. It's out there in the dark because the smell is extremely bad. So I will stop working on this today because it's not day, it's night. And I need some citric acid or something else to clean the fuel tank out. I can't cheat on this one. I will have to clean it out. It will be completely unreliable if I don't do that. So yeah, I will continue in the morning. So what appears to be moments later is actually a couple of days later. I have been cleaning the fuel tank on this moped. At the moment I'm flushing it with some fuel to make sure that I got no water in it. And yes, the fuel is very red. That is because I have huge amounts of two-stroke oil in it at the moment to flush it. What I did was I filled the fuel tank with the citric acid, I think is the name in English. After a couple of days with that in the tank, I filled it with baking soda and water to neutralize the acid, and then dried it out and filled it with fuel with a lot of oil in it. It's a good idea to fill it up completely afterwards. When everything is done, then fill it completely with fuel and oil. As you can see in here now, there is still rust in there, but it is a lot better. This is a massive difference. And the rust up there is not the scaling kind of rust, so that's all right. This will be fine. With the now clean tank on the Mobylette Cady, let's continue trying to get it to run. Firstly, I would like to try to pump some air into the tires. They are most likely 40 years old, both tires and the balloons inside. What are they called? Anyways, I'm not sure it's going to hold air, but let's try. Oop, that's about 2 bars. Let's try the front run. Oh. That's also about 2 bars. So far, so good. It's not running out instantly, at least, so that's pretty good. One thing, very often the valves can leak, so let's check that with some oil. Or just something, yeah. That's pretty obvious, I think. This is not good. Let's try the other one. Yeah, but it seems to be leaking a little bit. Let's try to see if we can remedy this. Then I need to find a tool that is always missing, or hard to find at least. Maybe not missing. Ah, I think no. Right there. For some reason, it's one of those tools that always end up in a new position. But this one should make it possible to take the valve assembly out. Oh, let's take some of the air out first. It's quite annoying that it hits the spokes. Okay, so with the valve almost out of the tire, it's most likely that rubber ring up there that is the leaking source, or maybe more likely the orange gasket right in between there. I don't have a new one of these, but I think I could be lucky just to lube it up. But it's not, it's no guarantee. Sometimes dry stuff is just, yeah, needing a little bit of lubrication, you know. Let's try to put it back in. Ooh. 2 bars. Oh, it's working. It is now leak-free. That's good. The rear one seems to actually have stopped leaking pretty much, so maybe it has fixed itself just by the lube. That's good. Let's see if it holds air tomorrow. Anyway, next step on this bike will be to strap it down so it's not falling off the lift. And then we're going to take the spark plug out because I have a feeling that it's maybe running a bit dry in the cylinder. So I would like to grease it up at least. Maybe take the head off. I haven't really decided yet. That depends on how it feels when we turn it with oil in it. Then we're going to check for spark afterwards. But firstly, I'm going to strap it down. And now the Mobylette is strapped down so it doesn't just fall down from the lift, because that could be very dangerous. Now let's start by cleaning some stuff up. We don't need this one anymore, so that can go back to its spot. Whoop. Lucky for me, the belt seems to be all right. This engine is pretty weird. We got a centrifugal clutch out here, and then we have the ignition system in there. If we need to work on the ignition, we'll have to take all this off. But maybe we don't even have to do that. This project is just going to be a fun little quickie. Maybe it could end up being a big project, but I'm not gonna take everything apart if it's working, because I really like this kind of revival of stuff where you don't just fix everything, you just fix what's needed and then take it for a ride and then maybe break down a couple of kilometers away and drag it back home and start from scratch. Yeah, it's all about having a bit of fun, really. I think it would be wise to take out that spark plug actually. Because I want to put some loop down there. It is feeling extremely rough and very tight. Something is definitely not right on this engine. I don't think that it would be a good idea to start this up actually. It won't be a good idea from what I know at the moment, because there shouldn't be any compression, but I can hardly spin it. And just trying is actually a bad idea. But it's not necessarily the piston. It could be other stuff. I know this hard point, I think I can remember that from the other Caddy, is something to do with the cam on these. I think it would be wise to take this engine off and apart to be sure that we don't just drag it. I'm gonna take this engine off and put it on the bench. So the engine is on the bench now, and I have to say that I could be on one of my wild goose chases, because it could be the cam. I think I can remember that there was something weird about that, but I can feel when the engine reaches top dead center, and I think that's the cam. But then there's also a place right here that I really think is weird. So I'm gonna take it apart to just check that everything is all right, and at least get to know why this engine does like that, if it's the case that it's a normal thing. It could also be a very hard ridge on the bore. Maybe the engine has been a bit stuck at some point. Oh, it's coming apart nicely. Let's see if we can get that big one off. What size is it? 27? Nope. 21? Nope. 22? 23? Ah, it must be 24 then. So, oh yeah, I know. Because I need to lock this engine, otherwise it will just turn when I try to loosen it up. The way I'm gonna do that is with this, a piston stop. I'm gonna spin the piston downwards slightly and then spin this in. And that would lock the engine right there. And I should be able to just spin it off. Nice. And this opens up into the ignition part of the engine. This is the magneto I'm taking off like this. Right in there is that cam I was talking about that is actually pushed onto the crank. So if the timing point is wrong, I will have to pull this off and put it on the right way. And that is a bit weird. So the point is right there. And I think that it's actually the cam that's doing it. How could I check it? I could check it by removing the points. I think I'm just going to measure the points gap. My guess is that it is a 0.35. Oh, that was pretty well guessed. It's not necessarily right though, but it's just what it is. Now I'm going to remove the points. Now it's moved out of the way. Let's see if that point is still there. Very much so. it is. I'm gonna take off the cylinder head now. I was actually hoping I didn't have to do that. There we go. The cylinder head is off. There's no gasket, but there has been one at some point. Wait a second, there is a gasket. Yeah, it's just stuck. Wake up. Okay, now let's see. Feels very weird. I was expecting or thinking that maybe the piston gudgeon pin or something like that was completely worn out so it could move, but I'm not sure that's the case. Because then I should be able to remove it by pressing on this. What is the meaning of this? So I have digging around. I even watched my own video from last time I had one of these to see. And then I realized or remembered that I actually have a spare engine. This one also got a point right there. That is weird, but it feels more like the cam than on the other one that is a bit more rough. So to be sure, I have decided to take off the barrel and most likely also the crank cover. At least know what's going on, because it feels wrong. I just have to say it feels wrong, and I want to know what it is at least. Oh, it's not coming off without removing the exhaust, because that is clamping the entire thing together. I will need to remove those. But one very good thing about all this is that the other Caddy that I had a couple of years back, the green one, now belongs to my good friend Jon. And I'm pretty sure that he will be watching this video. And then he will learn something, maybe, about his engine. I know he likes to try to mend it and is still learning, just as I am. And maybe this could help a little bit. So it's not all bad. I should be able to take off the barrel. There is no broken piston ring in here. They seem rather stuck though, but so now that feeling is completely gone. So this is something to do with the piston and barrel. I need to loosen up those piston rings, and that could be the reason, but still I am slightly puzzled about this, gotta say. Well, I think I know what it is now. I think that one thing is that the piston rings are stuck. That's the issue. And the other issue is a slight ridge up here with some gummed up stuff that I think I could just clean off. To start with, I'm gonna undo those, or at least try to undo those rings without breaking them, and they can be so easy to break. I think I'm gonna leave these to soak in something over the night. I think it was a good idea to take this apart, but I also think there is a possibility that the issue would just have disappeared all by itself when the engine started to run. I'm gonna soak this until the morning and then continue on it. I think that would be the best thing to do now. See you tomorrow. So I soaked the piston overnight, and now I have given it a couple of rounds in this ultrasonic, the world's smallest ultrasonic cleaner. It's not the best in the world, but it's working. It was really cheap though. And let's see. Yeah, the lower ring is already loose now. That's very nice. The top one, it is still slightly stuck. I hope I can massage it free. If it snaps, then I think I have some rings that fits. It's not from a Cady engine, but it looks to be the same size, but I'll have to do some measuring if we're going down that road. Oh! Yeah, I snapped it. Ah, that was a shame, but yeah, what do you know? It is really stuck up here in this area. Like really stuck. There we go. So now I got it unstuck. Yeah, I know I shouldn't use old used piston rings, but that is what I have at the moment. I think this looks to be the same size, but let's try to measure it. Old one is, the new one is, oh, bang on. Oh, it's the same. It's pretty much the same. Let's just say that. And the cutout is also the same. It seems to be all right. I'm gonna clean up the bars. The best tool to clean these are a broken piston ring. So it's always very important to break a piston ring so you can clean it out. It was all on purpose, by the way. Yes, I should really just get some new piston rings for this now that I'm at it, but I don't want to because this could be fine. And it's fun to make stuff work by using the parts that I have laying around, because why should I have stuff laying around if I didn't use them from time to time? Okay, let's fit the rings back on. So this is all good. We can get it back together now. I got some 2-stroke oil to reassemble stuff with, just to lube it up before putting it back together. Like that. To go into that. God damn it. Oh, this is so filly. Oh, that was easy. That was very, very easy. So, it's late night, so this will be all I get to do on the bike or the engine today. The video will continue though, because I have decided to make a video on this from start to finish, pretty much at least. So it could be a very long video. Now it's back together. Let's see if it makes the difference that we are hoping for when we spin the engine. Oh yes. Haha, ha ha. This is perfect. It is spinning around completely smooth now. No hard point at all. It is all good. Oh, that's good. That's nice. See you tomorrow. And it is yet another evening in Seaside Garage, and I'm gonna continue on the Cady engine. What I'm going to do now is that I'm gonna put the rest of the engine back together. It is now able to spin completely without any issues. It's very smooth. I really like that. What I'm going to do now is just to put everything back together that I took off, and then we will see if we can start it. Oh, where did that engine go? Oh. So the engine is back on the bike. I still need to do some things. This wire and this wire, this seems to just need to go on that terminal down there. That must be something to do with the lighting. And then this one, I presume, goes to the ignition coil, the outside ignition coil. I think we could try to start this moped now. I fitted the fuel line to the carb. So all we have to do now is to engage this, and then the carb should fill up with fuel. Oh, I always get so excited at this point. Let's see if this moped fires up. Oh, exciting! And then some choke. Whoa! It did something. Oh, that was close. But it did try to fire up at least. It's my feeling that fuel is not getting to the engine or the combustion chamber. I think it's my feeling that the spark is all right. But let's just check that to be completely sure about it. Let's try. I don't know if it picks up, but the spark is completely fine. Just for the fun of it, let's spray some fuel directly into the engine. And then put the spark plug back in. And then give it a spin. Then I expect it to just fire up shortly at least. Maybe putting on the spark plug lead is a good idea. Let's try again. Yeah. So we are having a fuel issue. The fuel is not getting from the tank and into the carb. So it must be something to do with the nozzle, with the jet. Well, it seems clean enough. But sometimes just taking it out helps, because it could be clogged behind the, and then flushed out with the jet removed. Ho ho ho. Oh. It's coming back to life in the most weird way ever. Come on! Oh, it's alive! It's alive! So the moped is struggling to come back alive, and it's slightly, I think it's clearing out itself slowly, but maybe it will work. Next video, I will take it for a test drive, and maybe we'll have to clean that carb out, because it's acting a bit weird at the moment. But thank you for watching. The Cady is now running. The tires are holding air. This was a very fun project, actually. See you in the next one. Oh yeah! Coolio!